Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a movie that is now in theaters, and it was actually based off a book series. And it's about a group of teenagers who face their fears in order to save the lives of not only themselves, but the town that they reside in. This movie I wasn't really sure if I was looking forward to, honestly, because I mean, although it was from the director who did Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I thought was a solid horror film, I wasn't sure because I was like, this movie kind of seems a little bit too much like Stranger Things, It, E.T., all those other movies. And I wasn't wrong. This is probably going to be a shorter review than usual. So, essentially, this movie, it's beautiful to look at. It's very well shot. It's got a neat sound design. The cast seems game. I mean, you have a lot of young actors and actresses that are, it's like their first movie that they're doing, but they're doing a really good job. I mean, they all have good chemistry together. And I do like the color palette. I mentioned the cinematography, but the color palette is pretty neat. It has that Stranger Things darker color hue that they have. I liked that. But honestly, that's kind of where things end in terms of positives. I really wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. I was going to give it a passing rating, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no. It just follows too much in line with formula. You know, I get that this movie is geared towards like a younger audience, and I feel as though if a 12-year-old watches this movie, they'll probably think it's the greatest thing on earth because they haven't seen the 100 other horror movies that this movie is literally just like. And it's a shame too because you feel as though a movie like this would try and do its own thing, but instead it just follows cookie cutter formulas that's before. The characters and the development of said characters are just very cliched. We've seen these tropes done 1,000 times before. We know the romance. We know exactly how it's going to go down. We know exactly how the ending's going to play out, and it does play out the same exact way that you expected. Not only that, but the CGI was pretty lackluster, which I was surprised about because, I mean, I know Guillermo del Toro was an executive producer on this movie. So in his movies, they have usually a really good blend of practical effects and CGI. But this movie, the CGI was very noticeable. And it was a shame, too, because, again, I feel like this movie could have just not really done that, but instead it just made it really obvious. And also, I didn't like how the movie ended. I didn't like how it was a setup movie at the end of the day. Like, this literally was just a setup movie for the next movie. And Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I can see this movie doing well at the box office because it's that in-between movie. You know, it's in between Stranger Things, it's in between It Chapter 2. And people like this stuff. They really do like that 80s nostalgia of all like teenagers that, like curse and like, are funny. Don't get me wrong, the kids are funny and all, but like, I just wanted more from this movie. I get that I'm not the demographic that this movie's geared towards but I feel as though a movie may be geared towards a certain audience, but at the same time, the best kind of movies are able to branch out. Like, look at art house movies. I'm just going to use that example. Some of the best art house movies are the ones that are able to reach out to audiences that might not necessarily think about as hard as me and other people. Again, it's pretentious, but it's just kind of how it is. And vice versa. It's kind of like a blockbuster. How blockbusters, the best ones are the ones that cater towards the ones that want more than just explosions and just bright colors. And I think that this is another example of a movie that really could have just kind of branched out and been deeper than it actually was. But unfortunately, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, yeah, it's really not that good of a movie. It's actually kind of a disappointment. But I'm still giving it an extra half a star simply because the cast, I can see all these cast members going on to do better things because they do seem talented, at least in my opinion. So, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I'll personally be giving it a generous 2.5 out of 5-star rating. So, no hot sauce rating, not even a Frank's hot sauce rating. It's just, yeah, meh. It's something I'll probably forget in a day from now that I watched. But guys, those are my thoughts on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Again, short, sweet, and to the point. If you guys want me to get in depth with any other stuff, feel free to ask in the comment section down below. But more importantly, what did you think about this film? Also, let me know if you've read the books and, if it's very similar. I never read the book, so it was kind of a new experience. Well, it was a new experience going into it, but coming out, I just kind of realized it was like every other, movie that's supposed to be trying to be in the 80s. But enough of that exposition. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And as always, hit the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.